On November 8, 2005, a 15-year-old freshman named Kenneth Bartley Jr. walked into the office of Campbell County High School in Jacksboro, Tennessee with a .22 caliber pistol in his pocket. He was confronted by the school principal and 2 assistant principals who had received information he was armed. What happened next was a tragic and shocking event that left 1 assistant principal dead, 2 others wounded, and a community in grief and disbelief. According to Campbell County Chief Deputy Charles Scott, the shooting occurred around 2:11 p.m. after school principal Gary Seal was tipped off that Bartley had a handgun. Bartley was removed from his class and taken to the office area away from other students. When asked if he had a gun with him, Bartley brandished his .22 caliber pistol and reportedly said, "Yes, it's real. I'll show you. I never liked you anyways," and shot Seal. He later shot assistant principals Ken Bruce and Jim Pierce. Bartley was soon disarmed by another teacher inside the office. Seal and Pierce were transported by helicopter to the University of Tennessee Medical Center, while Bruce was treated at St. Mary's Hospital in La Follette. Bruce was later pronounced dead from his wounds, while both Seal and Pierce were seriously wounded. After Bartley was arrested, all students were evacuated from the school and Campbell County police dogs were used to search the premises. The school was closed for the rest of the week and reopened the following week. When questioned, Bartley said the gun belonged to his father, and he had stolen it to take to school with the intention of trading it for Oxycontin. Bartley was charged with first-degree murder and was to be tried as an adult. On April 10, 2007, during the day of his trial, he accepted a plea bargain and entered a plea of guilty to second-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder. He was then sentenced to 25 years in prison for murder and 2 consecutive 10-year sentences for the attempted murders, for a total of 45 years in prison, with his earliest parole eligibility after 29 years. According to Assistant Principal Pierce, Bartley wished he hadn't done it to the judge in his chambers before the plea deal was announced in the courtroom. The first several years of his sentence were to be served in juvenile prison, where at age 18 he would be transferred to adult prison. 1 month after pleading guilty, Bartley attempted to withdraw his plea, but his request was denied. He later dismissed the attorney who had represented him and hired a new attorney. In 2009, the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals denied the appeal by Bartley. In October 2010, his attorney filed a petition for post-conviction relief, stating that Bartley accepted the plea bargain without having a meaningful opportunity to discuss it with his parents. A court hearing held on June 2011 included testimony indicating that Bartley's original attorney had whispered the terms of the proposed plea bargain to Bartley while the frightened defendant was watching prospective jurors file into the courtroom. That attorney had not advised Bartley on the merits of the proposal, and that Bartley considered the proposal for only 3 seconds before accepting it, without discussing it with his parents or the therapist who had been involved with his earlier plea negotiations. After hearing this testimony, Judge Carrie Blackwood, who had presided over the original trial, vacated Bartley's guilty plea and ordered a new trial, reversing his own earlier denial of a request for a new trial. The Tennessee Attorney General's office appealed that decision, and in March 2013, the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals issued a decision affirming Blackwood's order of a new trial. Bartley was tried in February 2014. To avoid prejudicial effects of the extensive attention the case had received in Campbell County area, the jury was drawn from Hamilton County, Tennessee. On February 28, 2014, Bartley was found not guilty of reckless homicide for Bruce's death and not guilty on charges of attempted first-degree murder for the shooting of Seal and Pierce, and was sentenced to time served. Bartley was arrested June 21, 2014, when his father called the police and said his son threatened to kill him over a set of vehicle keys and was intoxicated. Bartley was released from jail June 23, 2014 on charges of domestic assault and resisting arrest on a $200 unsecured bond, and an agreement to continue to live with his father and refrain from drugs and alcohol. On July 10, 2014, Bartley was confirmed back in custody after trying to hit 2 deputies who were investigating a probation violation. In 2015, Bartley was surprisingly allowed to live with his counselor, Erin Tepesky, at her home in Vienna, Virginia, in lieu of a jail sentence for violating his probation. The counselor promised to get him mental health and substance abuse treatment. On Mother's Day 2015, police were called to Tepesky's home following a domestic abuse call. It was reported that Tepesky's 3-year-old son had received a head injury after a fall. The child was rushed to the hospital but died 3 days later. Kenneth was accused but ultimately never charged with the child's death. Matthew Bodominic, the boy's father, reached out to the governors of Tennessee and Virginia, saying he wants justice for his son. Matthew had no idea Bartley was living with him and wouldn't have allowed Bartley to stay at the home he rented for his son and the child's mother. In February 2018, Bartley was arrested after failing to appear in court for trespassing charges. He pleaded guilty to the misdemeanor charge and was again granted probation. However, in August of that year, Bartley was arrested for assaulting a woman, for which a jury found him not guilty. Bartley was accused of brandishing a rubber mallet in an argument with his father's girlfriend. In November 2020, Bartley was arrested in Jacksboro, Tennessee for assault and vandalism after he allegedly got into an argument with a couple in a car, broke out the rear window of the car, and fled the scene. Reports say when officers went to Bartley's home, they were met with aggression, and he began kicking and spitting at officers and hit one officer in the face. On August 3, 2021, Bartley was sentenced to 9 months in jail, but would be allowed work release each day from 7:30 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. and was to be drug tested each day he returned back to jail from work. Thank you for listening. The reason I picked this case was because of how close it was to me, being only the county over. Thanks everyone that's been subscribing lately. Subscribe and I'll make more.
Holy smoke.